Rev it up and welcome to Cars Yeah, show number 1564.
This is Cars Yeah, where you'll enjoy interviews with inspiring automotive enthusiasts. Mark Green is here to provide you with a fuel injection of automotive inspiration. So get in, sit down, buckle up, and get ready for a wild ride here on Cars Yeah.
Hello, inspiring automotive enthusiasts, and welcome to Cars Yeah. I'm revved up and very excited to share with you today Stacey Mack, who's calling in from Hanover, Pennsylvania. Stacey Mack is the president and CEO of Advantage Lifts, a company he has owned for 5 years. Based in Hanover, the company is a direct-to-consumer sales and marketing company that sells services and installs branded private labeled lifts, something all us automotive enthusiasts want to have in our garage. They offer car lifts for the biggest names in auto lift manufacturing, including Advantage, BendPak, Challenger, Launch, Nussbaum, Rotary, and more. Stacey's past position was that of president of Automotive Lift Services, a highly successful lift service company that installed and serviced auto lifts in car dealerships, tire shops, service centers, and other areas where autos and trucks were being lifted to allow service work to be performed. His career includes sales and marketing, leadership work in sports and health products, as well as wholesale foods. We'll be back in a minute to talk with Stacey, but first a word from our valued sponsors that make Cars Yeah possible, so sit tight. When it comes to your vehicles, things can get a little messy. Rain, snow, salt, mud, dirt, and everything Mother Nature comes up with can hurt the finish of your vehicles, both inside and out, like that bird on the branch up above your car. I'm not worried though, because I've used Covercraft products on my ride since 1975. That's right, since 1975. Today, Covercraft offers you a total solution for vehicle protection. They make the best fitting, finest made car covers in the world and offer a wide variety of materials, colors, and options that protect your paint and the interior, whether your car is inside or outside. Plus, they keep your car cool when it's parked in the sun. Live where it's really sunny all the time? Lucky. Covercraft covers and sunscreens are the best. If you've got pets, messy kids, messy in-laws, just plain messy friends, Covercraft seat covers are the perfect fit and perfect solution for keeping your seats looking new. They're easy on, easy off, and they're easy to wash too. And don't forget Covercraft's custom fit floor mats and trunk liners. Plus, they're very handy seat back organizers. They are must-haves for all your vehicles. Your car, your truck, your van, or whatever you drive will say thank you. And I've got a deal for you. If you use the code YEAH120, that's YEAH120, at covercraft.com, you can get 10% off your Covercraft order. Just go to covercraft.com, check out all the products they have to protect your vehicles, use the code YEAH120 at checkout, and get that 10% discount. That's covercraft.com and use YEAH120 at checkout. Covercraft, they've got you covered. So what do you do after running a race team for 27 years with over 100 podiums, multiple Daytona wins, and a win at Le Mans? Racer and the Racers Group team owner Kevin Buckler founded Adobe Road Winery. Located in Petaluma, California, he and his team have created a winning combination with the Racing Series. These are 4 ultra-premium red wine blends that are in a class of their own. Like racing, these wines comprise of art, precision, engineering, science, wrapped in a whole lot of fun. You can choose from 4 blends, titled Redline, Apex, Shift, and the 24. Today I'm going to tell you about Apex. It's a rich and complex blend of Cabernet Sauvignon, Syrah, and Cabernet Franc. This blend is a showcase of perfection and hits the apex with its full-bodied, smooth finish. An added, very cool option is the label. It's a multi-dimensional rumble strip apex, reminiscent of Turn 4 at Laguna Seca. The Racing Series is a spectacular gift for the automotive enthusiast in your life, and I've got a deal for you. If you use the code CARSYEAH, all one word in all caps, at checkout, you get $10 off any purchase of the wines from the Racing Series. Your wine ships promptly and arrives quickly. Use the code CARSYEAH at checkout for $10 off your purchase today. There's always a seat at the table for excellence with the Racing Series. Go to adoberoadwines.com today and use the code CARSYEAH. Cheers! Hey, Stacey, welcome to Cars Yeah. Are you buckled up and ready for a fun ride?
Absolutely.
We'll have some fun today. Before we jump into things here, before we get elevated, since you're in the lift business, I know that's a bad pun, but I had to toss it in there. Would you share one little thing that most people may not know about you?
I am a constant learner, constant trying to learn something new, and I spend half of my leisure time seeking out new information and just general learning. So kind of a nerd in that way, and actually enjoy that as much as movies, but enjoy that slightly more.
Well, that Kaizen concept of always sharpening the saw, never ending learning, I think is an absolutely brilliant thing. I have friends who are physicians, and, in that field, you have to be learning all the time because they're always innovative, always learning things. And I have a good friend who's a retired neurosurgeon, and he said, yeah, I've been in school my whole life, 69 years. So I think it's a good thing. And today, there's so many ways to learn that there's no excuse for it. I mean, there's just all sorts of opportunities out there. Well, let's start this journey about your life with a success quote or a mantra, some kind of saying that's been instrumental in forming your life and your success. It's a nice way, as I say, to get the inspirational wheels turning here on Cars Yeah. So, Stacey, grab the wheel.
Yeah, well, I would say for the last two businesses here that we've owned and still operate, Advantage Lifts and Automotive Lift Service, we kind of have this mantra of exceed the customer's expectations. And we teach that at every training with our technicians, with our salespeople. If we err in any way, we err in the way of the consumer. So exceed that customer's expectations, and we try to do things, not in an obvious way, but things differently than what we know the other guys do, that we can, show that to the consumer without telling them about it.
Yeah, that extra bit of service. I worked in a place where we had lifts, and I remember the technician who came in and installed it spent quite a bit of time with us, and we always made sure that whoever used that lift knew what to do, what not to do, how to use it, and how to be safe, and also the installation of those lifts that need to be done right. So let's talk more about your business, what you guys do, what you provide, and why it is so important to make sure that if you're going to buy a lift, if you're fortunate enough to have one in your garage, boy, I wish I had one in my garage. I maybe need to talk to you when we're done here. What you need to know and why it's important to get a lift and talk to people that know what they're doing with these things. So take it away.
Sure. Well, the difference between us and a lot of lift companies out there, we do more than just buying a lift and resell it. Our Advantage lift line is actually designed and manufactured by us. Now, we do import the lift, but we design and spec out every screw, every nut, every grade of steel into that lift. So one of the things, and kind of back to us saying exceeding our customers' expectations, our lifts, our cables on our lifts are big enough for a 30,000-pound lift, but the capacity is rated at 9,000 pounds. So we've done things like that. We've overbuilt the lift to make sure that it will hold that vehicle on there. We have people putting $3 million, $5 million vehicles and collector cars on these lifts, and our design is much beefier, sturdier, and the customer can feel very comfortable in putting that type of value on the lift.
So let me ask you this, Stacey. If I came to you and I wanted to purchase a lift, what are some of the common things that people ask about? What are some common things people are concerned about when it comes to putting a lift, let's say, in their home? I know in a business environment, it's very different. Companies are used to that. It's a whole different world. But for an individual like myself or our listeners who would love to have a lift in their garage to be able to play with their cars, service their cars, and so forth, what are some of the common questions and thoughts that people should consider?
Probably the number one question that people ask are, well, will that fit in my garage? Well, number one, if the car is in the garage lengthwise, the lift is about the same length. So lengthwise, if a vehicle fits in there, it will fit in there. But the common question, well, what about stacking cars in there? How will that work? Well, we provide online and then over conversations over the phone a method of just measuring the cars from the ground to the ceiling of the top of the car, and you add those two vehicles together, allow another 6 inches for the platform of the lift and raise height, and that will tell you the minimum height you need to allow those two cars to stack in there. Two Corvettes, you need less than 9 feet. Just barely less than 9 feet. That surprises a lot of people because then they're talking, well, wait a minute, I think I have 10. I always thought I needed 14. But, it's really the height of the cars that determine what if you could put a lift in those two vehicles on that lift.
Now, what about the concept of the base? Because some people's garage, especially older ones, that concrete thickness is not very thick. And I've heard that you need to have a certain amount of thickness underneath there. I'd imagine if it wasn't thick enough, they could cut a hole, pour some concrete in there to support that. Is that something that you need to consider as well?
Sure, you can consider that. Now, we have two types of lifts. We have the two-post lift where you would be picking up a car. A lot of two-post lifts are more for the wrench turner type people that they're working on the car and the wheels hang free under it. With that, 4.5 inches minimum. If you don't have the base there, we would recommend cutting 4x4 squares, kind of mushroom under the other outside pad and pour 8 to 10 inches thick. Now, we've designed the Advantage lift, 4-post lift, which you can work on or store the car on to not need anchoring. So it just rests on top of the concrete. And the biggest reason we did that is where we designed this at in Minnesota, and we're selling it in these northern states, a lot of people have heat in the floor. So it's hard to drill into a floor with those pipes running through.
You don't want to do that. Yeah, you have an automatic drinking fountain of warm water in your garage, which would be a bad thing. I know there's a lift. I was in a really cool detailing shop up north of here, and they had a lift that actually went down into the ground, not the post type that you see in the old-fashioned garages, with the cylinder, but the whole lift kind of went flush into the ground, and then it almost like a scissor lift, and then lifted the car. The wheels still hung free, so you could pull the wheels, service the vehicle, or do whatever you want to do. Do you have those kind of lifts as well?
Sure. Yeah, and that's through a third party. We provide those lifts, but that's a common. It's called flush mount. And that same lift can be resting on top of the surface or cut into the floor or, during design process, when you're building to think ahead and design and put that in. Very nice lift. It's easy to drive over and it's hidden. It's out of the way. It's easy to use.
That's what I loved about it, because if you don't have a lot of space on the sides, if you have those columns, they do eat up some space. And that type of a lift, I had not seen that before. I just always see column style and use those styles. I looked at that thing, I went, that is what I'd like to have in my garage. Now, obviously, in a home that's already built, I'd have to cut a trough, I guess, if you will, and sink that down in the ground. But if you love to wrench on your car and use something like that, that would be a dream.
Absolutely. Yeah, less expensive to go above ground, but, once you get into the concrete work, sometimes that would cost as much as a lift to do. But if that's your desire in the beginning, if you're building, it's much easier to do it then. Yeah, there's a couple models. BendPak has a model that we use for that and recommend, and we've even put that in dealerships where they're doing diagnostic work and they want a small lift to lift with, typically 7,000-pound capacity. Decent lift for the money.
Yeah, seems pretty cool. Let me ask you this. What's one of the favorite things about what you do in this business? You've been in this one particular business that you own for 5 years now. You've been in the industry for a long time. So what's your favorite thing about what you do every day?
Well, the neat thing is our lift is at the upper end of the lift market. So it's not some cheap thing that we're just slapping a label on reselling. It's actually, if you shop and compare, it's the best quality out there. One of the things we do is market to, the segment of the population that can afford to buy that. So we attend the Barrett-Jackson events, the Mecum events, a lot of auctions, and the people that I meet are incredible. That is the best part of it. I enjoy that better than the lift business itself. It's just incredible, the people you meet and, some of the friends that you meet. And recently, and you may bring this up, but in the last 4 years, we've been talking with Wayne Carini, Actually struck a deal with him where we're supplying lifts in his showroom and his different buildings that he has. So, and I don't know if I can call him a friend or not, but he knows my name, and when he sees me, he says hello. And we've gone out to dinner, but just fascinating, some of the people we meet. Even beyond kind of the stars of the industry.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I can tell you this. You can call Wayne your friend. And a shout out to Wayne. He says he listens to Cars Yeah here in the mornings when he's on his bike exercising. So hope you're doing well today, Wayne. He's such a great guy. I got to know him a while back. He's been a guest on my show. In fact, I need to bring him back on because it's been a little while. And I see him at a lot of the car events that I attend. He's such a nice guy. And I always tell people that have never met him, he is what you see. He's the genuine real deal. He's just a really nice person. And for those listeners that didn't hear my show with him, you can go back and find it on the Cars Yeah website. So he's a great ambassador for your brand, for sure. So
absolutely,
you did a great job there. Well, I always like to ask my guests about a big challenge or a big failure they've faced along the way, something that kind of set you back a little bit, but more importantly, what was that lesson learned so you could move forward in a positive way? But before we jump into that story, I'd like to ask you, how are you guys and your business doing with this pandemic that we're dealing with? How has it affected you? What are some challenges that you've worked through with what we're all having to deal with here so that you can still operate and still be positive? And is everybody in your family and business healthy?
Everybody's healthy. So that's number one. That's the most important part. Our business was an essential business because our commercial side of our business, we service dealerships and small shops, and they were able to be open in Pennsylvania and in the other neighboring states. So we were able to still do a lot of that work, not to the full extent that we were doing. So we're down in business a little bit. And then we made a choice not to hold back. We decided to hold back on the residential installs. Mm-hmm. So we decided to avoid that type of thing. And we're just now getting back out to do those. A little bit of a setback, but, nothing major. I just feel bad. There's some small businesses out there that will not reopen. I know, and, you wanted to talk about one of the challenges we had, and that was it. When we first bought Automotive Lift Service several years ago, we had one employee. My wife and I worked together, and we wore many hats. And as we hired people on, there would be Fridays, that would be Thursdays and Fridays. I'd be calling customers, chasing money, basically, to pay payroll. And we bootstrapped and really, got by. And every month you have a certain payment, and every payroll you have a certain payment. We went without a payroll for a year. My wife and I did. And at the end of the day, today, when we have a little bit of luxury and a little bit of, we're just 100 times business of what we did then, we still today look at those expenses. I look at every expense. I talk about every expense going on. And I think that's, if you don't go through that, you don't appreciate it as much. And then maybe you don't watch every dime that you spend later on. I think it's a valuable lesson. And I worked in the corporate world when I got out of college, and I didn't have to worry about payroll. And I didn't have to, I thought I knew everything about business. But then, when I finally jumped in myself, you realize, boy, it's a serious matter. You got to find a way to do it. It was a great experience. Even as you grow, even if you're doing, millions of dollars in business, you still worry about cash flow a little bit, but I don't have to worry about payroll every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
We can cover that with ease, but you still worry about the big picture things. Now you may have $3 or $5 million in inventory, and it's big for us. Yeah. It's not $100 million company, but it's big for us. And, just managing all those pieces is a challenge, but we love it. We love the freedom with it. We don't take as many vacations as we used to, but yeah. We could, but we're just kind of tied, a lot of business related travel, if anything. Yeah, but it was a good lesson in the beginning there, bootstrapping.
It's a great lesson. Yeah. Congratulations on what you and your wife and your team there have pulled off. It's a lot of work, that's for sure. I understand. Done that for years. We're going to take a short break and thank our sponsors here, but we'll be right back to talk more with Stacey about his passion for cars. So sit tight. My favorite collector car magazine is Keith Martin's Sports Car Market. I've been a subscriber for decades. Sports Car Market is the Wall Street Journal for enthusiasts and collectors. It's your monthly must-read, whether you dream of owning a collector car, maybe you have 2, or maybe you've got 200. Sports Car Market has been around for 31 years, and it's filled with valuable articles, intelligent write-ups, and the latest auction sales. Go to sportscarmarket.com and subscribe today. And don't miss my weekly podcast with Keith Martin titled Buy, Sell, Hold. It's the essence of collecting. We talk to the movers and shakers in the collector car world. Here's a couple deals I have for you just for listening here on Cars Yeah. If you use the checkout code Cars Yeah, you'll receive a 50% discount on your digital subscription at Sports Car Market. That's an exclusive offer from Cars Yeah. And guess what? Here's another deal. If you'd like to get the actual magazine, use the code BSH for Buy, Sell, Hold. That's code BSH, and you'll get $10 off your annual print subscription. That's right, $10 off. Both of these are exclusive offers here at Cars Yeah for Sports Car Market Magazine. Just go to sportscarmarket.com and get your deals today. If you're listening to Cars Yeah, you've probably spent some time working on your favorite ride. But how confident are you working on your finances? You may be able to rebuild a fuel injection system, but can you decipher the details of a mutual fund? If you're like me, investments, insurance, annuities, budgeting, and other financial concepts may seem a bit daunting, but what if I told you there's a book that describes these subjects and more in an easy-to-read and a very humorous way? My friend Chris Kimball, CFP, a longtime sponsor and past guest here on Cars Yeah, has written that book, and it's titled The Saga of Eicken, a couple's humorous journey through the confusing world of finance. It's a fun look at things you need to know, everything from investing to effective ways to get rid of credit card debt, and it's probably the only book on finance with a VMAX on the front cover and a classic Mini Cooper on the back. The book's available at Amazon for just $10, and this book will dramatically improve the direction of your financial future. I gave copies to each of my children. All securities are through Money Concepts Capital Corp. Christopher Kimball Financial Services is not affiliated with Money Concepts Capital Corp. Get your copy, The Saga of Ike and Penny, today. All right, Stacey, we're back. I'd love for you to share your kind of personal story you have and passion with cars. Maybe a moment that instigated a passion that you have for automobiles and being in this industry. Tell us a pivotal moment in your life when you knew that you were going to be a car guy.
Well, I think it's in my youth, I was 16 or 17, and I saw a guy drive by in a TR7, and I thought, that is cool looking.
Yeah.
And I had always, looked at Corvettes and, different type of, I grew up in Iowa, so there wasn't a lot of vehicles around. But one that sticks in my mind is there was a fella in town that bought one of the Back to the Future cars.
DeLorean.
He had a DeLorean and he drove through town with that. And I just thought, someday I'm going to have something cool like that.
Yeah.
I worked on cars from the beginning. My first car, a 74 Chevelle, my mom and dad somewhat gave it to me, but it needed a new transmission. I had to do it myself, and I learned a lot along the way. And that car, I literally had to dump oil in it when it would start making a noise. That was the indicator. I really didn't use the dipstick at all. I just kind of knew by feel.
Oil by ear, they call that.
Yeah, it really worked nice. And it was, but that, it was a rolling project, I guess, constantly working on it. But I always had a passion for cars, maybe because I had junk cars in the beginning and I looked at everybody else's. So I really haven't, my journey in business, I haven't really bought that dream car yet. Mm-hmm. I'll do that at some point, but I want to feel like I deserve it. And I have it's almost like that little car in the background there. It has the same emblem as that one, the small red one behind
me. Yeah, I've got for you listeners there that don't see, we're on Skype here, and I've got a little red pedal car behind me with a Ferrari sticker on it. It's a little car I got for my kids when they were young, and they're all grown up now. So I've kind of kept it. Maybe if I'm blessed with grandchildren someday, I'll give it to one of them. Yeah. But I've got a little Ferrari sticker. It's far from a Ferrari. It's an old Garten, I think, or something like that. So It's not even the
Well,
Cadillac that I had as a little kid that my mom got for me for my uncle, I think. It was a yellow Cadillac. It looked like an old Cadillac from the 50s. So,
oh, wow.
yeah.
I think I had one like the one that's back there
Uh-huh.
when I was a child. And today I realize it was pretty cool. But back then I just took it as, hey, it is what it is.
Yeah.
But so I've always had this passion for cars. I did buy a 68 Mustang. Oh, I was probably early 20s. And back then, paid $500 for it, just drove the heck out of it. And the thing just, it was in kind of a neat car, had a little accident in it, and sold it for $600 back then.
Oh, hey, you made $100. That's a good deal.
Yeah, I made $100 and drove the heck out of it. And then recently, my son and I started a project. First off, he's a millennial, so he'll turn 21 next month.
Uh-huh.
So we just got him a 72 Mustang. And the only reason we got it, it's an ugly car. I call it a 10-10 car, 10 feet away,
10
10
feet.
miles an hour. It's not bad looking, but three speed. I wanted to teach him how to drive a stick shift. So
yeah.
I'm actually a little more joy of getting him involved in it than myself right now. So I really have had fun with that, helping him with that. And he's done a few things. And then we're working on an 87 Jaguar right now.
What kind of Jaguar?
It's an XJ6, just doing a resto mod on it. And we attend all of the good guy events and auctions, and I just don't see the Jaguars out there. And I just thought it'd be something neat to do. So that's what we're working on now. Just kind of having fun with taking our time on it. And we just see, Jaguars are notorious wiring and problems. So we just ripped all that out and rewired the thing. And so that's kind of the stage we're in. No engine, rewired, and wires hanging out at every orifice on the car. So we're a few months out before the thing gets done, but having a little fun.
Sounds like fun. Yeah, I do a second podcast here called Buy, Sell, Hold with Keith Martin, the publisher of Sports Car Market Magazine. It comes out every Tuesday, and he just bought a Jaguar XKE Coupe. As our listeners know, he had a stroke last year, and he's recovered nicely from that, but still has a bit of a challenge with his left leg. So he's been buying a couple older automatic cars so he can still enjoy driving old cars. He bought a 122 Volvo, and he just bought this beautiful Primrose. I think it's Primrose. I might be wrong. It's a yellow color, an XKE Coupe. So he's going to get into he had Alphas, so he's used to cars that maybe don't run all the time, right? Sorry, Keith, but that's the way Alphas are. Jaguars are the same.
That's the truth.
I always ask my guests about first special car. You talked about some cars there, a 74 Chevelle, 68 Mustang, and of course this 87 XJ6. Is there another vehicle that was a first special vehicle for you?
No, probably that 68 Mustang was a special one for me. It was a lot of fun, and it was the right age. And, I was the right age at the time, and I'll probably get another one eventually. But, I have a friend that has a 68 Shelby,
nice.
GT 500 that I could get it at some point. We'll see.
Well, I had a 66 Fastback Mustang that was a clone of a GT 350 Shelby Mustang. I drove it to work every day. It was really nicely done, and I really enjoyed that car. There's something about those old Mustangs. I couldn't get gas where it wouldn't last 30, 40 minutes. People would come over and start talking. Everybody has a Mustang story. Let me ask you a bit of an introspective question here, Stacey. If you woke up tomorrow and you were a vehicle on one of your lifts in a garage somewhere, this isn't what you want to be. It's how you perceive yourself manifest as a vehicle. What would Stacey be and why?
Well, it's a tough question. I'd love to give you the exotic answer.
Well, we all would, but maybe we're not all exotics, but you could be. I won't put words in your mouth.
I think it's between two vehicles right now. Is I have these F650 rollback trucks that we use for business, but we also have a 2019 Honda Pilot. Probably simple, conservative, but yet a little bit, luxury drive is where I would see myself right now. So.
All right. Fair enough. Good answer. All right. We're entering what I call the last lap, a little bit of a lightning round here. I'm going to fire off some questions, get some quick responses from you. So here we go. Would you share one of your personal habits you believe has helped contribute to your successes over the years?
Constant learning. Absolutely.
There you go. What you mentioned at the beginning. How about if I could arrange for you to have a drink or a meal with anyone in the automotive industry, living or deceased? Who would it be?
Probably Carroll Shelby.
Hmm.
I'm fascinated by his story but it would be interesting to have Enzo Ferrari in the same room.
Oh my gosh.
So, yeah,
Two powerful personalities. Yeah.
yeah,
Who knows what we would
absolutely.
end up with? Oh my gosh. Especially when you get back into the Ferrari and Ford wars. You might end up with
Yeah,
a fight going on there. So we'll see. I would pick Carroll to win that fight, I think.
absolutely.
He was a scrapper. How about the best automotive advice someone else has ever given you?
One that comes to mind with classic cars is there's two types of cars out there: those that leak and those that are getting ready to leak. So,
I actually have not heard that before, but that's pretty darn accurate. Yeah. Well, you do have a Jaguar, so yeah,
yeah.
it probably will leak a little bit. So, how about a resource? Is there one out there that's a go-to for you you'd like to share?
You know what? I'm everywhere on the internet, so I do a lot of Kindle books, and
Oh, yeah.
when you're a member of Prime, you get some of those books free. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I do that.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to toss a great resource in here. It would be Advantage Lifts. If you need a lift for your garage, that's the place to go. So I'm going to do a plug for you here. Well deserved, by the way. Well, you mentioned books and enjoying Kindle books. My wife does the same thing, a lot of audiobooks. Is there one book in general you might like to share?
well, for business, I always young people that are working with us or just starting in management. I always recommend How to Win Friends and Influence People, and it's such a dorky title, but I had it on my shelf for 4 or 5 years before I pulled it off and read it years ago. And I said, what did I wait for? Absolutely. I've made so many mistakes in negotiating or, managing or talking to people that in that book really, kind of set me straight. I'm working on this book right now because I watched the Ford versus Ferrari movie, the book Go Like Hell. And
Oh.
it's the basis of that movie. And it's pretty interesting. It has a little more background than just the movie itself.
Absolutely. Well, of course, How to Win Friends and Influence People by the great Dale Carnegie. That's a go-to. I think they should give that. In fact, I gave copies to my kids when they went off to college. All of his principles apply in business and in life. Go Like Hell, of course, is by A.J. Baim, and he's a past guest here twice on Cars Yeah. So if you guys missed that, his book is the second most recommended book, right behind Garstein's The Art of Racing in the Rain. So you can go to Cars Yeah. You can find all my inspiring automotive enthusiast books listed under guest recommended books under the resources file. There's over 1,600 books listed there, including these two. So check it out. All right, we're up to the checkered flag here, Stacey, and this last question can be a bit of a doozy. Today, I'm going to buy you any collector car you'd like. That collector car you've always wanted, I'm going to buy it for you. I'm going to park it on one of your lifts in your garage so you can keep it up high or working on it or roll the car out. But there are a couple rules to my game since I'm writing the check. One is you can't sell it to buy a bunch of other toys with or fund your business. You have to drive it and enjoy it. So pick something that ticks all the boxes. But here's the kicker. It's the only one collector car you can have. So it needs to be quite special. So what can I buy you today?
It's going to have to be that 68 Ford Shelby GT500. So I would drive it to work. Maybe not in the wintertime, but I would drive it to work.
Yeah, that'd be cool. What color would you like yours to be?
Blue, black interior.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, I'll get to work. That shouldn't be too hard to find. They're a little pricey, but that's okay for you. Price is not a matter of the problem here, so I'll get to work and see if I can find you one of those. Yeah, that'd be a fun car to drive to work every day for sure. Stacey, you've taken us on a great ride today. This has been great getting to know you better. I want to thank you for sharing your journey with the Cars Yeah audience. Could you offer us one little parting piece of wisdom or guidance before you rip off into the sunset in that beautiful 68 GT500?
Well, I thought you were going to ask me what our website was and that type of thing.
Oh, we'll get there in just a minute.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
I think enjoy life more in the moment. And sometimes I don't do that. And I guess I've been looking around lately saying, I'm enjoying this time. Yeah. My children are home from college right now for the summer and been extended home because of the early dismissals. And they're finishing up. Actually, my son's finishing up a final today at home. But I've enjoyed it, even though they're messy. even though they don't pick up their shoes, even though they make a mess in the kitchen, I've just kind of bit my tongue and enjoyed it, knowing that it's not going to be there forever. So enjoy the moment a little more.
Yeah, it's really words of wisdom. And, my children have long since graduated from college and gone on to their lives and moved to different cities. And I have to tell you, Stacey, I walk down the hall every night and look into those 2 empty bedrooms with a little bit of a lump in my throat and a tear in my eye. So, enjoy this time and just ignore the clothes on the floor. Or, hey, Mom, can you do my laundry? Because these times are fleeting for sure. Enjoy the moment. Great advice. So that next question, of course, how do people learn more about you and Advantage Lifts? Where do they find you guys?
AdvantageLifts.com. And we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on all of this fancy stuff out there. And we're available. If you want to talk with me personally, look at AdvantageLifts.com, go to the Contact Us page. I'm on there. My email, our phone number, I do take calls and I do accept emails. Email's best sometimes. I do travel a little bit to events and we are busy. So reach out. We can answer any questions for you.
Well, I can tell you, Stacey's telling the truth because I saw their PR firm had sent out a notice about their affiliation with Wayne, and I contacted them. I think it was 2 days ago, and here we are recording a show. So here's a guy who walks his talk. So if you want to reach out to Stacey or anyone in the company, or if you have any interest in putting a lift in your garage, this is a company to go to. I tell you, I've had lifts. I wish I had one now. Maybe I need to get one. They change your life when it comes to playing with cars. Even if you're just a guy who likes to clean his cars, it just makes things so much easier. So check out AdvantageLifts.com. Stacey, thanks for being so generous today with your time, your expertise, and for sharing your stories with us. Stay healthy, stay safe. Until you and I talk again, I'll see you down the road.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much for joining us on today's ride here at Cars Yeah. Drive on over to carsyeah.com to find show notes and inspiring automotive fun. Download your free copy of Filler Up, a fun book filled with gorgeous photographs of fuel filler fun, including quotes from more inspiring automotive enthusiasts. Download your copy today, and we'll see you next time on Cars Yeah.